Today, we're going to be looking at the AI gold trading MT5 by Mr. Ho. So this guy has been on the top of the MQL5 marketplace a few times by now. And what I've noticed about his bots is that quite often they do really well for a certain period of time, but they usually end up breaking after a few months. So I think it could be because of just the style of trade management being used, but maybe this one is different. So let's dive into it, give everybody a clean slate to see how their work is and to evaluate them in a neutral manner and effectively assess whether or not this is a real trading bot or if there's any of kind of the MQL5 funny business like really aggressive recovery and huge stop losses, or any of those tips and tricks that unfortunately developers do use sometimes to make their strategy look better than it really is. So once again, like many developers, this guy is really heavily leaning on the AI aspect of this bot. So if you read the description here, he's saying that it's using the advanced GPT-4o model and uses multi-layer protection, volatility adjusted stop loss. So frankly, the issue with the MQL5 marketplace is that there's many developers who actually use AI, and they use AI in a really good way. Like Brandon is a perfect example of this. But the issue is there's quite a few others that kind of try and pretend to use AI, and they use a bunch of really colorful, flowery language to make it seem sophisticated, but in reality it just looks like ChatGPT wrote the sales page. So with this guy, I don't really know, because it could very well be that he put in an LLM web request. It isn't that challenging just to do a simple web request to any of the big models. However, you never really know if he did it properly, because anybody can ask ChatGPT like, hey, is this trade going to be profitable? If you don't know how to prompt properly, if you don't know how to actually use the models in the most effective way, you might not be getting a whole lot out of it. But the way to essentially see whether or not this is actually a real AI bot would be to look for any sort of like API key placement area within the actual inputs tab. What we can see is that he actually does speak to the style of strategy behind it. Apparently it's a sophisticated trend following system with regime detection. That makes sense to me, and that it uses a volatility adjusted stop loss and risk parameters. So most likely, seeing that this is a gold bot, it's probably trading some sort of breakout system on gold, and he's using like an ATR or an ADR based stop loss, and that can actually be a super effective system. So there might very well be a really real strategy behind this thing. And here we actually see that like he's saying that your minimum deposit needs to be $200 per 0.1 lots, which is pretty reasonable. And besides the GPT use, it actually looks reasonably like legitimate so far. What I don't like about his signals is that I think he usually uses like an enormous stop loss. And the problem with that, or he just doesn't actually know, the stop loss is not that enormous. Because he just never hits, we don't have any losers here. And if we have no losers, we really have no idea to ascertain what the strategy is like. To move my head, we can see that there's no losers there. So far, like the signal's not giving us a ton of information, because usually when you look at a signal, you want to see winners and losers so that you can assess like what's the risk reward. If we hit a stop loss, how bad is it? Just to kind of see like what is the worst case scenario. And if you just see a perfect signal, you don't really have a lot of information to go off of, but at least he's using a real broker here. He's using IC markets. He's not using WellTrade or any of the scammy ones. So all a very good sign. So now let's actually go into our beautiful Vantage terminal here and run ourselves a backtest. And as we can see, it's a very nice looking backtest, but it is actually hitting a stop loss. So there is an enormous stop loss here, which it hits. We have a 96% win rate, and we have a very inverted risk reward, which would be expected here because like, obviously we have not hit a stop loss to date. Most likely it's a huge stop loss. But if we look at the actual trades, I'm not seeing any sort of aggressive lot scaling. It's just increasing as the balance increases because he's using a fair amount of leverage. The returns are a little bit unrealistic here, a 450% return with a 20% drawdown. To me, that doesn't seem actually like a history rater. It just seems like something that's heavily overfit. Like he is shorting and longing at the same time too. If we look at the 63 shorts to 107 longs, so it's not like he's only going long on gold too. I would think it's probably just some degree of overfitting. Now let's go here to see in the inputs tab if he's allowing for an API key. and information, AI data ecosystem. Yeah, there's no place to actually put in a web request. So that's not a great sign. Let's run a visual back test finally here. Oh, if I can get my terminal to work. There we go. Yeah, it's just trading breakouts on gold. Okay, so it's actually a real strategy, believe it or not. Like, yeah, this is a real strategy, just heavily overfit. So it could very well be profitable in live trading too. You're just not going to have a beautiful straight equity curve. You know, this is a simple breakout system on gold. And there's no AI to be seen. Yeah, there's no indicators. So honestly, guys, to wrap up here, like this is very much, I think it's actually a real strategy, but it's a pretty simple one. It's just going to be like a breakout-based system on gold with a tight trailing stop loss, which has been done a million times. So yeah, he enters here, he has a huge stop loss, and he very, very rapidly takes profit. Nothing too revolutionary there. Yeah, and it's just boom, boom, boom. And what he did is he also, yeah, you can see that we're clearly using a tight trailing stop loss. And he probably just went through and kind of cherry picked some losers, and that's why it's looking so good. So guys, not really an AI bot, basic trailing stop loss thing on gold. Lothi Milo does this a bunch. There's a few other ones out there. Pablo did a really good one on the pivot killer recently, which uses maybe a similar system, but it's a lot better than this. So all in all, like don't buy this one because we know what the strategy is. It looks amazing because it's overfit. If you actually just ran this strategy live, there's a good chance it would be profitable because breakouts, pending order breakouts on gold with a tight trailing stop loss is a super easy strategy. It works, it's profitable, it's actually pretty good. But because this guy's a bit sketchy, I wouldn't exactly buy his bot because most likely there's better ones which are a bit more transparent and you can actually see how they work. There's no AI going on here. It's pretty basic technical analysis with some overfitting. So yeah, nothing super special. Probably will actually make money for some folks. I wouldn't be surprised if it does well if it goes to the top of the marketplace once again, but there's probably just better value out there than this. So not a scam, but also nothing amazing. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.